Hey, hey, good evening, everybody. Good evening. Um, Welcome to another live stream. Um, I know I'm a bit late this evening. I know. Um, Welcome. So let me close some of these tabs on here. So this evening is the final evening that I'll be here. I've been here all week this week, all week last week, all week the week prior, speaking to you, sharing with you about, leadership lessons, uh, giving you thought provoking questions and comments to think about. And so I really hope that you walk away with something, right? And I usually tell people when I train that even if it's one thing, that would be enough. And so for the entire week of this week, um, I spoke to you on Monday about, the communicate to influence coaching program. I broke it down, what those modules entailed. On Tuesday, my topic was, is your attitude contagious? And I sort of spoke to, is your leadership attitude contagious? Because your if you don't know what your role is as a leader, as a new manager, then it's going to affect your attitude, right? My mother always used to tell me, your attitude affects your altitude. And it is so true. Whatever your mindset is about a particular thing, that is how you are going to operate. So, had that going on Tuesday. I'm looking at my notes. And last night, I asked a powerful question. Is your relationship, I think that the topic was, how is your relationship with money stunting your growth? Because if you're someone who feels like spending money for a coach or spending money to learn is a waste of time, you could do it later, then that your growth is probably stunted, right? And people often spend money on the tangibles, things that they can see, um, and they don't have a tendency to look big picture. Meanwhile, you're here in a role making all sorts of mistakes when had you invested in your education and development, it would have served you. And you can't afford to make those mistakes as a new manager, especially when it comes to relationships and communication. Because I have seen, most of you would have known that my background is in human resources, and I've seen where managers make managers make this like these mistakes, and sometimes they're not able to recover from them. The way they communicate with people, the way their perception, their personal brand, you know, team perceives them, their boss perceives them, and there's no coming back. There's a saying that goes, you don't get a second chance to make a first impression. And sometimes you get a do over, and sometimes you get people who understand, and other times you step on some toes, and that's it, right? You have to work hard to redeem yourself, and you don't have that time as a new uh, manager. So let me introduce myself. My name is Waveney. I am a leadership coach, and I help new managers develop leadership influence by mastering their relationships at work. All right. Yes, your competence is important as a new manager, but the skills that you new managers often focus on, the technical skills. It's all about the technical skills, what they know, what they can do. When really, as a new manager, your focus should be your communication, how you communicate, how you craft that, how you create that, how you manage that, and your relationships with others. And building, using those two tools to succeed, to set a foundation to succeed. So this evening, I want to talk to you about your comfort zone, living in your comfort zone. Okay. And you may have the mindset that it's not that bad. You're listening to me and you're like, you know what? New in this role. I'm a new manager. I've transferred to this place or what have you, and it's not that bad. I can figure it out. You have a few issues. There's a few issues with the team. Um, Nothing to scream about, nothing to write home, nothing I can't handle. And maybe that's because you are avoiding conflict, right? Most people don't like confrontation, most people don't like conflict, and you're avoiding it. So you're trying to tell yourself it's not that bad, it's going to blow over, right? You give it some time, it'll blow over. You're going to ignore them because you're new in the role and you have other priorities, right? You may also be thinking, listen, I don't quite get my boss. Maybe you have a new boss. Maybe it's the same boss, but for some reason the relationship has changed now that you're in a role and you're still thinking, you still have the mindset, the same mindset that got you into that role, you still have that. And so you might be thinking, okay, I don't quite understand what's going on. I think that, sometimes people are people, maybe he or she is having a bad day, something is happening, and so it's not that bad. Okay. And you may have had some successes so far in your role. You may be thriving on the reputation that you had, right? That got you into that role. You may be thriving on that and riding on that and thinking that will sustain you because what people know your work, they know the level of your competence, they know um, what to expect, and so it's not that bad. And so if it's not that bad, it isn't good. It's not that bad, but it isn't good. And you are just sitting in your comfort zone. You're comfortable. You're comfortable. You're getting by. Is that what you really want for yourself? Okay. And I don't know about you, but coming out of the pandemic, it I have to make reference to it because it just made our lives. I'm not even sure if we're really out of this pandemic, right? When it isn't COVID, it is now monkeypox, and I'm like, I've had enough. I don't know about you. If you've had enough, just drop an emoji. I've had enough. I have had enough. I've had enough. And coming out of the pandemic, though, our lives have just gotten a little bit more stressful. There's some people that have not fared well during this time. And so your mental health is at the forefront. I know for me, I was depressed. I didn't know why I felt that way, but I was depressed, right? And so added to that, if you're in a new role and you're comfortable and you're saying that it's not that bad, your confidence is being eroded daily because um, your confidence increases when your competence increases, and when you learn, when you invest in yourself, your competence grows, your confidence grows, right? But if it's not that bad and you're sitting there and you're being comfortable, your confidence is eroding daily. Every time you make a mistake, it may not be a big thing, you may not recognize it, but your confidence erodes daily, right? And then you start feeling anxiety. And I don't know about you, but I hate that feeling, you know, that feeling where, your heart is beating fast or your stomach is in knots. For me, my stomach gets in knots, right? It feels like you can't, if you try to control that feeling, you try to get calm, but it doesn't really work, right? And so you're anxious. You may be spending time thinking about what you could have done after the fact, right? Some of us are like that. I should have said that. I should have done that. And this is because you're sitting in your comfort zone. You're telling yourself it's not that bad, and you're just sitting there. Okay, you're calling your friends for their opinions. Your friends who haven't been in management, but they have an opinion on everything. God bless their souls. Um, or you may be leaning on someone who really isn't an expert or doesn't have that particular experience. What I've found is that you have to ask the right questions. When people come to you with an issue or concern, you have to know how to ask the right questions, right? Hey, Sky. Cool. You have to know how to ask the right questions. And all of this is going on, and it's taking a toll on your emotional health, on your mental health, because you're taking it all in, and it doesn't happen all at once. It happens, um, you know, a little bit over time because it is not that bad. That's the mental part of it. And then you have the financial part of it because you're making mistakes, you're setting yourself back. You're setting yourself back. What would take you 90 days to learn, working with a coach, one on one, joining Communicator Influence, it's taking you like 4 years, 3 years. Time you look, you get around to it is 3, 4 years, right? Um, and so it affects your ability to earn. You could be further along. You may be able to be further along, but you don't want to invest upfront. Okay. And you're wasting your time, and God bless you, Demi. They cater to a particular market. I mean, I've purchased Udemy courses. I'm not afraid to say it, but at what point do you stop? At what point do you say to yourself, listen, I need more. I need more information. I need to find someone who can help me on this journey. At what point? Okay. Then when you take that all in, you are compromising your professional, sorry, reputation and relationships, of course. You're compromising your reputation because you're anxious, you don't know, you're making mistakes, you're stepping on toes. How are you going to recover? You don't have the foundational tools that you need. How are you going to un, how are you going to recover that? But you're saying it's not that bad, right? You're living in your comfort zone. You are too comfortable. Why wouldn't you want the best for yourself? Why wouldn't you want to win? Why wouldn't you want to invest in yourself? Relationships, and I said it, I think it was last night, relationships are the currency, right? They get you places. And the way that you take care of relationships, that you manage relationships, it's all about when you're growing your career, it's all about how you interact, how you communicate with others. It's all about developing the right relationships. Okay. Sometimes, I had a client, and when I was we were talking about developing, strengthening the relationships that she had with her team. And I remember her saying, she always thought that small talk was a waste of time. And it was like gossip. And I'm like, you're looking at it through the wrong lens. You're looking at it in the wrong way. Small talk is a way of you connecting with your team? What are you saying in those moments? Some people, and the reason why I bring that up is because some people might say they're introverts. Some people might say, listen, I'm not going to this event. I'm not going to that event. I don't want to ask my team this. I don't want to ask that. But these are the things that build your relationships, that build your work relationships. I know many managers, many people who want to get into management, managers and non-managers, that when there are company events, they don't show up. They're not being visible. They're not curating and taking care and managing those relationships. Are you going to be the same way? If you don't have the formula, you're going to fall into that trap of thinking, of of looking at the simple things that you can do to build those work relationships, because there's something called a compound interest, right? Builds over time. And if you don't understand why, if you don't understand, if you don't have the formula as to what you need to do, what action you need to take, then you may fall into the thinking of this is a waste of time, when this is a very thing that you need, that will set you apart and set you in front of the right people. But you are comfortable and you don't think it's that bad, whatever is going on. You know, you're new in that role. You're going to take that $20 Udemy course, you're going to read a few management books, and you think that you're going to get by based on the skills that you had before. But as I keep telling you, Marshall Goldsmith says, what got you here won't get you there, and it is the truth. You can't, the same skills that you've used to get you where you are not the same skills that will elevate you. It is constantly looking and at yourself, growing, uh, making your growth and development intentional, taking intentional steps and action. Because before you can lead others effectively, you first have to be able to lead yourself. You first have to understand how you show up. You first have to understand how you impact people when you communicate. You first have to understand you, why you are doing this thing. Why do you want to be a manager? Why are you, if you're already in the role, why are you here? Why are you doing it? Maybe you have a skewed view. What's your view of what a good leader is? Maybe you didn't have that good role model, or maybe you had a good role model, you think, and it worked for that time frame. And sometimes that happens. We Things that work for a particular period or a particular set of people mean it worked, right? The question you should ask is how truly effective it was, what was the impact, and will it work now? You're using someone else's formula and or actions, and it doesn't work for you because the workforce is changing. COVID has changed the landscape. Workforce is changing in terms of the people, the generation, you know, but also COVID has changed the expectations of employees. I think that you want to do a great job, but you're comfortable. You're comfortable. You're sitting on the sidelines and you are comfortable. Comfort doesn't get you anywhere. You leave the comfort for your bedroom, right? To be comfortable. Leave that for your bedroom. And I'm not saying that you take silly risks. I'm not saying that, you know, you do anything silly, but if you're comfortable, if you're just there, then you're probably not growing, not changing. Okay. You're not pushing yourself, you're not challenging yourself, you have a fixed mindset, you know, You're not thinking, you're doing the same old thing and getting the same old result, and you're afraid to try new things because it's not that bad. And so I want to encourage you, you know, to explore the Communicator Influence program. I built this program for new managers because I know that you're at risk. I remember when I was a new manager, I was so scared. But then again, I can be a scaredy cat, right? Um, it is the truth. It's so the truth. Um, and I built this for you. It was thoughtfully created, which is why the first module is a leader's mindset. And I am telling you, I have seen this, I've proven this time and time again, even for me personally. Your mindset is a key to your success. One of the keys, your mindset. You will not never get any further than your thinking, your mindset. You see this movie, The Secret, that everybody has this whole controversy about. I personally think that people took it out of context, people didn't really understand it, but it has some foundational truth in it. Your mindset, your mind, what you think. And sometimes we think that things don't affect us, and they do. And we may have had managers that were not good, and we've said to ourselves, we're not going to come like that person. But here we are exhibiting the same behaviors. And that's something that we have to check. And if we don't have the right tools and resources, we are going to end up like that person because that's what we know, that's what we've seen repeated, that's what we've seen modeled for us. We might not be a full-blown version that is horrible, but if you're not challenging yourself, then you just may end up to be just like that person, right? So the first module is a leader's mindset, and the second one is from I to we because it's not about you. You cannot run. Your work is done through people. You cannot run an entire department um, from like. Are you going to do everybody's job? No, you're not. So it's you. There needs to be a shift. Before you became a leader, before you were in that position, you focused on you. You managed your development, you managed your success. Okay, you were given, and what do I mean by that? Is that you were given a task, you execute. You were, you know, you could manage around that. You stood out because you were given things, you ran with it. Now you're in the reverse position. Now you have become what your boss was at the time. And so no, it's not about you. It's about, you may have five other, four other, three persons you're managing. How are you doing that? Could be one, doesn't matter. How are you doing that? Right? You have to make that shift. Then the third module is your communication style. How are you communicating? What is your style? There are four different styles. My style is director, right? But how are you communicating? Do you know the impact of that? Are you aware that your boss has a communication style? You know what that is. And how can you leverage the knowledge when you know what your communication style is? How can you leverage that to work for you? Then the fourth module is influential leadership because we want to influence. We don't want to intimidate. We don't want to by our virtue of our title, we're using it and we have to name drop or position drop or intimidate or have something hanging over. It doesn't work. It doesn't work in this environment. It does not work. Okay. So we want to have influential leadership. How are you going to influence others? How are you going to impact the lives of others? How are you going to make a difference? You've heard me quote Martin Luther King. Everybody can be great because everybody can serve. And I would challenge you to think about whatever role that you play on your job, to think about it as a way to serve. Okay, we may not be writing breaking books, be a Nobel, win a Nobel Peace Prize, or do something, have schools and roads, have monuments erected after us. But we could, by our leadership, impact others who go on to do great things, greater things. It's about service. Leadership is a calling and it's about service, and I believe that with all my heart. It's about how you serve, which is why this class isn't for any and anybody. Because if you are a lazy leader, we're not going to get along well. If you're someone who just wants to sit on the sideline and reap the benefits, we're not going to get on well because you're not going to show up for yourself within the program. The fifth module is critical conversations, because we have to have those conversations even with our best performers. Even with our best performers, we have people who we need to speak to. How are you going to do that? People are uncomfortable. Your best performer, the person that you know has your back or you could depend on, and they make a mistake or something, they need coaching, correcting. How are you going to do that? Most people will avoid that. How do you manage conflict? Most leaders avoid that, or they get very aggressive and turn that into unprofessional, and that's a different, you know that's something else. That is your leadership reputation. So how are you doing that? And then lastly, sustaining success, because you want to you want to cement that foundation. You want to make it stick. You want to make the habits that you've learned during those 90 days stick. And so this is communicate to influence. And I just wanted to do a walkthrough of those modules and what you can expect. But if you're a new manager and you're sitting there and you're saying it's not that bad, it's not that bad. If you're not investing in yourself, your time, money to elevate, and then something is wrong, right? I invest in myself, I invest in my development. Okay, I have to. I have to, because I want one, I want to do it for me. I want to get better. I want to learn more. I am a learner. I am a learner, right? But then I also want to be the best coach for my clients and for the people I serve. Okay. And you should want that for yourself. You should want to be the best leader ever. Because when you grow and develop, the people around you will feel that, and they will grow and develop, and you impact the culture when you do that. You impact the culture of the organization when you do that. And you elevate their lives by extension. All right. And so it's a ripple effect. You learning is only a ripple effect, can only be a ripple effect, a good ripple effect. And so I want to close out. Thank you for joining me, but I want to encourage you to join the Communicate to Influence program. I'm going to link the where you can find more about the program in the body of this video. For those of you on Facebook, and for those of you on Instagram, just check the link in the bio. um, there you can find, it says communicate to influence. You can click on it, read up on it. But if you've been listening to me for quite some time and you know about the program and you're sitting on the fence and you're sitting in your comfort zone, it's time for you to shake out of that. It's time for you to elevate. It's time for you to make an impact. Life is too short. Life is too short. If you were on your dying bed, if you know you only had a few moments to live, and you think about like your entire life, and you think about work, are you real are you really showing up the best way you possibly can for your people? Are you the best leader that you could be? Is there more that you could do for yourself and for the team that you lead? That's a question, right? Is there more? that you can do. And so, um, if you've been listening, then just schedule your consultation call, right? Schedule your consult. I keep going back and forth with schedule and schedule. Anyway, you get the point, right? Schedule your consultation call and let's chat. Let's see if you're the right fit for the program, right? And I will see you inside it. Remember, it's for 90 days. You and I, we're going to focus on your communication, your work relationships, and by extension, your competence. Your competence. And so when those things are in alignment, there's no stopping you. All right. So thank you for joining me. Thank you for taking the time out. If you know someone who can benefit from this video, share it, save it, come back to it. And I will talk to you soon. We're gonna go back. I'm gonna go back to my weekly after not this Saturday, but the next Saturday. I'm gonna go back to my weekly live stream chats, leadership chat. So I will see you then. Thank you so much. Bye.